The Women by Women project is a heritage project aimed at young women and men from across Somerset. The project is run by Somerset Film and Somerset Rural Youth Project and is funded by the Heritage Lottery Fund, Sedgemoor District Council and Arts Award. So this week we've had a group of talented local students here working with us on the Women by Women project. They've had the opportunity to be involved in all aspects, from researching to filmmaking, all in just one condensed week.
See what I mean?
Today we started off by learning about camera work and filmmaking for when they carry out their own interviews with two inspiring women later on this week.
I wanted to come here because I know I would get the opportunity to use various softwares and different equipments and things like that, so I thought that could be quite beneficial for me in the future.
I enjoy film and media, and part of the work experience is actually to do the Women by Women project, which is basically it's learning more about inspirational women who, at the time that they were around, they've changed things.
We felt that it was important to give them a brief insight into women's suffrage, and did this through showing them the 2015 film Suffragette.
Oi, Mrs. Miller, bet you wish you were a man. Saucy cow.
It was fantastic to listen to their feedback on the film and to hear that they really engaged with it.
I put when the child got taken away because I just felt sad for her because she didn't have any control over her kid.
I just liked any of the bits with the laundry place owner. Personally, I thought he was really creepy. And it just sort of, the way he was talking to the girls, it sort of disgusted me.
I put when she's talking to Lloyd George, I think it was, about just her experiences in her life, and it's kind of her first experience of talking about what she's been through and how crap her life is, basically.
It's also made up part of their Arts Award criteria, so it really was an essential part of the week.
I find it really inspiring myself, actually. It's incredible what these women do and how they've actually changed history. If you believe in something strong enough, you can actually make a difference and inspire others to actually make that change.
Throughout the project, we have been researching past and present day women who are seen to be inspiring by our group of participants.
So my arts inspiration is Adele. I think that she's inspirational because she's done quite a lot for charity. She's donated quite a lot of her money to charity. Also, I think that she's inspired a lot of people just to be themselves, because I think in an interview she said to the interviewer, she meant for this for other people as well. She said, why be someone else when you can be yourself?
So today the group had the opportunity to visit the Somerset Heritage Centre in Taunton. The group were able to look through a selection of documents that helped them really engage with the women that they were researching into. We discovered two past women, Sarah Stone, who was a midwife from the 1700s, and also researched into Millicent Reed, who managed Kingsbury Episcopi gloving factory in the early 1900s.
We've been looking at a book that Sarah Stone wrote called A Complete Practice of Midwifery, which was written in 1737. And it talks about a lot of the experiences that she's had when delivering children.
She often believed that women should do the job more than men. She thought women were doing it for centuries and it was more important for women to learn like that rather than men.
I've enjoyed the way we did the research as well, like going on the computer. Nothing was really set, it was left to us, and that's why I feel like I learnt a lot about doing research as well, actually.
Throughout the week, the group have been able to create an online portfolio of work that goes towards achieving an Arts Award. Through the Arts Award, young people gain a nationally recognised qualification, enabling them to progress into further education and employment. It's great to have the award incorporated in the project, as the young people involved can both discover our heritage and history, as well as be creative and look into filmmaking and gain a qualification from both those things. One task that the group needed to do as part of their Arts Award was to create a workshop and presentation on a creative area that they felt passionate about. This really enabled the group to share their skills with each other, which helped them build on their team working skills and really bond as a group further. So the group had the task this week to interview 2 present-day women. This gave them the chance to practice their interviewing and filmmaking skills.
We're researching a woman called Bridget McConville, who was part of the White Ribbon Alliance, which works to improve conditions for mothers worldwide and make it safer for them to give birth in the areas which they are, which is mainly, I think, in underdeveloped countries like Africa.
As well as finding out more about Bridget and her work at the White Ribbon Alliance, the group were also interested in asking her about Sarah Stone, who was the midwife that we looked into nearing the beginning of the week.
I wanted to join White Ribbon Alliance when I was working as a journalist, and I came across so many UN organisations which were driving big white Range Rovers around and having big offices in New York and Geneva, but they didn't seem to be connected to the people that lived in the communities where the difficulties were. And then I met White Ribbon Alliance people, and they were the people from those communities who knew what the problems were and they knew how to fix them. So I decided that it was time to hear the women's voices about what the problems were. So I, with help from the engine room, got together a project to visit a number of countries and connected with people there who were working on this. And it was very moving and inspiring to hear what women were up against and their families, the barriers that they faced, and to be able to bring those stories back and show them to people in the Western world who had the power to change things. And what we do is we work from the grassroots up. So we work with communities to find out and locate what the problems are, and then to push for the governments to make the changes that is their responsibility to make. So that's about holding governments accountable.
We researched a midwife from the 1700s who was called Sarah Stone, and she wrote a book called A Complete Practice of Midwifery. She talks about her most dangerous births and how she handled them. She often chose not to use tools or instruments, which could sometimes be a risky decision, although she was often successful. What do you think about this choice, and do you agree with it at all?
Midwifery is an amazing skill. It's not simply a scientific matter. It's about the whole woman, her body. It's the science of that, the science of birth, but also about her feelings and her spirit. So the midwives of old, they knew a thing or two, and they'd survived or helped many women to survive, but they didn't have the emergency care that's needed in when women get into trouble. And whatever culture you're from, there is a minority of women, small minority, but who are going to need help, otherwise they will die. And that is usually around things like an obstructed labour when the baby gets stuck. So that's when midwives need help from the medical profession. Most births are normal, it's a healthy process. By and large, midwives of whatever era have got those skills. But there comes a time for some women when they won't survive unless they have an operation.
Sarah Stone was also a feminist who believed that midwifery should remain a female profession, but obviously nowadays there are many more male midwives. What are your opinions on this, and why?
Yeah, it's very interesting. There are quite a few different cultures where male midwives are acceptable. There are some that aren't. So in some cultures in the world, men are very much welcomed and are very good midwives. Burkina Faso is one. UK is another. We've got great male midwives here. But there are other cultures where it's impossible for a man to work with a woman. He's not allowed to see her body. Her husband won't allow it. Countries like Afghanistan, that makes it really difficult. But I don't think that gender makes a difference. As long as the midwife is sensitive to the woman and is respectful, gender is not an issue.
The group found the interviewing process to be a really good experience, and I feel that they generally learned a lot from undertaking the task of creating a professionally filmed interview.
I think that was really interesting, actually looking into the past with Sarah Stone and her midwifery and all the things she conducted during her time, and then comparing that to how things are now.
The second interview of the week was with Jenny Tucker and Sandra Mell. Sandra is actually related to Millicent Reed, who was the manager of Kingsbury Episcopi's gloving factory. Both Jenny and Sandra knew Millicent extremely well, and were able to come in and talk to us about her life and career.
What I know of her, it was she started off being with her mother a bag lady from her home, distributing work from a house called Riverview, and she used to go with her mother to Yeovil every week to collect the gloves and then distribute them from her home. And then I think in the mid-1940s they had a green hut built in the garden, and a few people were able to work there, about 10 people. And then I think it was in 1951 things progressed, and she had a factory built where she was able to employ 50 people from the village and surrounding area.
Well, she was my great aunt, so all my growing up I was, down there in Riverview. And I mean, and it was the same as Jenny. I went to work there when I left school at 15 because there was nowhere else. We had no transport, so it was just in the village, and you could cycle down there. And I worked there until the factory was sold in 2005. We were gutted, weren't we?
Yeah, I cried.
We were crying.
It was, yeah. It was at the end of an era, and. I think it affected us all. I mean, it wasn't. It was quite sad to think that she had built that up over the years, and then suddenly it was no more. I think she did a great deal actually, because there wasn't any employment in the village. Going back, and I can go back 4 generations of my family, and all the women learnt to make gloves, and they made them from home. And by her doing what she did and having the factory built, and also with having people in the factory, she employed other people as outworkers, and we had as many as 50 women at home, where every week she used to drive a van, take work to them. She used to drive like a maniac, but
yeah, she did. Yeah.
But she was lovely. No, she gave a lot. She gave a lot to the community. I think I was proud of her, and I think most of the other people were as well, women. Yeah.
The group finished up their week with us by editing the footage, and also they were involved in a radio interview with our Somerset Film bursary, Greg Tyrrell. The interview that Greg created was later aired on Art on the Radio at 10 Radio in Wiveliscombe.
I would say that I think it's really cool that we can actually just look into the past of Somerset as a whole. So me and Rihanna looked into Sarah Stone and her past as well. So that was really interesting to look back at how things were back then and like how far we've come as kind of a community and a county as a whole. So it's interesting to see how things have advanced.
The group enjoyed both aspects of the week, from researching into our heritage and discovering inspiring women from our county, to carrying out their filmmaking tasks.